What's up, guys? My name is Brendan Snipe, and well, on my channel, I teach you how to grow your YouTube channels through a Christian context. And today we're going to be talking about something that is probably the most important thing that you can think about in any creative activity, but especially when you're growing your YouTube channel. And so today we're going to be talking about story. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about one of my favorite creators on the platform, and his name is 1000. Let me bring you to his page real fast, and we're going to kind of dive into this and what he's done, because today he did something that is uh, actually mind blowing. I literally cannot believe what is happening. So over the past 8 videos, 7 of those videos have been from the same series, and as you can see on this page right here, we have designing my own custom playing cards here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and he just finished up the series today by launching basically a custom deck of playing cards on Kickstarter. Now, obviously, he hasn't manufactured any of these decks and he hasn't done anything yet, but he's just basically kicked it off on Kickstarter, and we're going to take a look at that Kickstarter in just a second because, man, it blew up like crazy. But I want to take a look at what he did throughout all of this. And as you can see, I'm a big fan. The red line at the bottom of all these videos, I love what he does because he's an amazing artist. And the way that he communicates is really, really interesting to me as a creative. And so I love kind of watching what he does. But in this series that he's done over the past month, it's been insane to see his process. And here's kind of the basis of this series. He said, okay, well, I'm going to create a deck of cards. I want it to be my art on cards, and I want it to be extremely, interesting to the people that follow me. But I want your help. And so he put out community polls. Like basically every time he put out a video, he would put out multiple community polls so that people would be able to see kind of what he wanted to do and get their opinions on what he should do for this deck. Um, it's just mind blowing. The community got heavily involved, and everybody was invested a lot in this deck of cards, which is nuts. Even me, I mean, I voted on a lot of these polls because there are certain things that I wanted to see, or certain things that I didn't agree with, or that I did agree with that I really wanted to happen. And so it's so interesting watching. And as he went through this process, you just saw more and more and more of the community coming out and being a part of this, and really wanting to be invested, to the point where even 3D render artists were reaching out to him to make promos for him for free. And he was working with all of these different creators and different people in the community that were offering to help him out in this whole process, because he knew nothing about building a deck of cards. He knew nothing about creating it artistically. He knew nothing about creating it, physically in the world, who he had to work with. And so this was a big undertaking for him. But throughout all of it, he knew that this is what he wanted to do. And so what does he do? In this last video that he published literally 4 hours ago, he talks about how he launched the Kickstarter, but also he talks about how the goal that he had was $10,000. This was something that he wrestled with himself about. He didn't know if we would reach the goal or if he would, move forward in this. But throughout the whole time, this past month, he has been telling this story about this deck of cards. This story about how he's been struggling through different things, how he's been learning different things, how he's been, making the art that he has always made, right? So this amazing art. But it brings us to this. Right over here is his Kickstarter, and I want you to kind of hold your breath for a second. Hold your breath. He said that he was really worried about this $10,000, right? That he didn't know if they were going to reach that goal, and he thought that it might be a lofty goal. And I think part of him knew that he was going to hit that goal for sure, but I do not think that he expected what happened next. So this is his page right now on Kickstarter. And if you look over here, you can see exactly what's happening. So this is a 30-day campaign basically on this Kickstarter, and it just started today. So he's got 29 days to go. He's got 6,529, and it's going to go up as I'm speaking to you, backers. And he has over $500,000 pledged to this Kickstarter. Like, this is nuts. Like nuts, right? This is insane. And for him, thinking $10,000 might be too lofty of a goal, this became something that was huge, right? It is huge, and it's going to continue for the next 29 days. Now, it won't continue at this pace, right? But there's a chance that this Vivid Kingdoms deck of cards could go well above $1 million for 1000. That is amazing. And the fact that he was able to do this just proves how strong story is, because he spent the last month crafting this story piece by piece by piece, showing you exactly what he was going to do. He was letting you be a part of the process. This became something that was far beyond him, right? And he even changed major cards in the deck because someone, 3 or 4 people had kind of an issue with one of the cards, even. Um, and this was an issue that I didn't have myself, but the fact that he was listening to his community that tightly, and that you can see like the love and just the community that he poured into this. It really was an amazing feat of story to be able to share in an experience. And so for you on your channels, right? When you're thinking about YouTube, when you're thinking about growing this creative endeavor, I think the number one thing that you have to think about, and all of it, is story. So when we talk about thumbnails, what is the story of the thumbnail? When we talk about your title, what is the story of the title? What is the story of your description? What is the story of your community? What is the story of you as a creator? All of these things are extremely, extremely important, because without story, there's nothing to cling on to, right? We think about it in every aspect of our life. From the fictional books that we read as a child, I remember reading Holes when I was in elementary school, and that story sticks with me, right? Stanley Yelnats. That whole thing is a thing that I remember until now, right? And I will probably remember that name for the rest of my life, not because it's important, not because God said something through Stanley Yelnats, but because the story was so impactful for me. I'm going to remember stories from the Bible that I read for the rest of my life, and they're going to impact me in a much bigger way, right? But these stories, that's why God decided to tell us about Jesus and tell us about all of these things, all of these characters that we read about in the Bible. That's why he chose to do it through story, because it's impactful. And this is just one thing that reminded me today of that, because now I see 6,556 backers, over $500,000, and rising every single minute because of this story that he's told through this deck. It's amazing. And I think that you guys all have the ability, maybe not to have $500,000 in a single day, but man, to do something great. And so I truly believe that if we put story first, this is the outcome, is greatness. It's something that people can cling on to. It's how we give value, like I've talked about in previous videos. And so the story is king. Anyway, this is a short live today, and I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys. So please let me know in the comments below, what are you guys doing when it comes to story? How are you guys struggling with that? And maybe how can I help you out? I'd love to talk to you, so please reach out and let me know what's going on. I'll see you guys on the next one. And yeah, that's it for me today.